Alright guys, well I'm excited for this video because what we're going to do is get a good jump start on our application, and you're going to see just how easy it is to use this somewhat complex framework we built. And I want to preface this by saying it's not a complex framework, it's actually a very basic framework, but it was complex for us to build just for this series, and I hope it's given you guys a better understanding of what an MVC framework is. But now that we've built the framework, let's imagine we're starting a new application with it. And so what we're going to do here is start just like we would. So we say we've installed our files here. We've updated some of the config. So you would start off here and you'd set your database information. You'd set up your site title and your menu brand and your root of your folder. You might adjust some of this stuff here. You might adjust your cookie times and things like that. But after you did your config, you're ready to start building your app. So to build the app, we just need to be in this app directory here. And we have controllers, models, and views. And we have our access control and our menu. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is let's actually clean up something we did in the earlier video. So go to views and home and index, and let's remove our stuff here, those just the example code that we had from testing out our form helpers, and then we'll close that. We won't need that for now. Go back to the controllers directory, and what we're going to do is create a new file here, and it's going to be called contacts controller.php. And we'll open up PHP, and then what we'll do is say class contacts controller, and this will extend controller. So you're extending our controller here, and if you guys remember, that is actually in the core and right here. So that is the parent class, and we're now creating a child class, and we're going to extend that. So extends controller. Okay. The first thing that we need to do is construct it. So we'll do public function. You know what? I'm going to give me a little space to breathe here. So public function underscore underscore, two underscores, construct. And then we're going to pass in controller and action. Those will be our params. So we need to construct the parent. So we're going to say parent, and that's static construct. And we're also going to pass controller down and action down to the parent. And then we're going to go ahead and set our view. So this view set layout, and we'll say default. Okay, I don't have to do that, but just do it. All right, so the first thing that we want to do is actually create our index action. So we're going to create a new method here. So we'll say public function index and then action. So index action. And just to start off here, let's go ahead and do this view render, and we're going to render contacts index. All right, so we need to create that, so let's go ahead and do that. So go to views, and we need a new folder in here, so we'll call it this will be called contacts. Oops, sorry guys, I did search, but we need a new contacts directory. Alright, so that's there, and inside of there we're going to add a new file, and it will be index.php. And then here, let's see, let's just do something very basic to start off to make sure everything's working. So what we're going to do is we're going to do PHP this start body We'll skip down a few lines and we'll do PHP this end. All right, and here we'll just do an H2, and let's close that. Let's give this a class of text center, and we're going to say my contacts. Okay, so right off the bat, this isn't going to work probably. Well, I know it's not going to work because we don't have access to it. At least I don't think we do. So to get there, we would just go to Rua. We just do /contacts. And it says we don't have permission to access this page. So let's fix that. So we need to give ourselves access. And we're logged in. So we want this to be, make sure that only logged in people have it. So let's open up our ACL. Our ACL is our access control, and it's a JSON file. And so what we're going to do, we don't need this tools here anymore, so let's get rid of that. Okay. And so for logged in people, just add underneath the register, we're going to add contacts. And here, we're just going to use the star. Okay. Now, if everything is correct, and it's not, let's see here, contacts controller not found. Alright, well let's see. That's because I named it incorrectly. Spelling matters, ladies and gentlemen. You have to spell things correctly. So I spelled it there, but not in the file name. So let's try again. And boom, here we are. It worked. It spit out my contacts, and that is from our plate file. I'm sorry, not our plate, but our view. And so our index, our contacts controller is loading. So I always start off basic and make sure everything's working before we start doing a bunch of work. And then we make sure that the view is loading as well, and we know that it's working. The last thing we probably need to do, let's go ahead and add it to the menu. So let's clean up the menu. Let's get rid of these things. We don't need any of that. So in order to do that, we need to open up menu ACL. And let's just get rid of this unnecessary stuff. So get rid of Google and PHP docs. And after home, we want this to show up after home. We'll call it contacts. And, oops. In here, we're going to do a drop down. So we're going to say my contacts. And that will just go to contacts. And then the next one will be add a new contact, and that will go to contacts add, which we don't have yet, but we will get to that. So we save that and we jump over here and refresh, and now we have a new drop down called contacts. And so if we're at home, we go to contacts, my contacts, boom, brings us right here. This is going to fail if we try to go to add contacts because it doesn't exist yet. We haven't created it. So we'll just stay here. And what we're going to do is actually, we want to, if we have contacts in our database, we want to create a table that shows all of our contacts. Okay, so let's jump in here. So what we need to do is probably create our model now so that we can interact with this table that we built. So let's jump back over here and let's go to, you guessed it, models, and we are going to add a new model called contacts. So right click, and we're going to say a new file, call it contacts.php. We can close the menu ACL and the ACL.json. We will not need that any longer. And let's get going here. Let's see. Open our PHP tags. I don't know why this does that. And then we're going to call this class contacts. And this, instead of extending controllers, is going to extends model. Okay? And that is our core model that we created here. So it extends this file. Alright, so now we are here, and first thing we're going to do is do our constructor. So we'll do public function construct, and again that's 2 underscores, guys. I know that my font doesn't show that well, so I just want to make sure. So we got to tell it what the table is called. So table is equal to contacts, okay? And then we just need to tell it to construct the parent. Okay, and we'll pass down the table to that. The last thing we're going to do here is we're actually going to set this soft delete equal to true. So it'll actually use our soft delete field, and we'll test that out here shortly. And I think what we need to do for we only need one method to start off with to actually display our, well, we'll need a couple, but you know, to actually display our table of contacts, we will do a public function, and we'll say find all by user ID. Okay, and this will this method will take 2 parameters. The first parameter is going to be user ID, and then we will pass in as a second param additional params that we can add to that later. Alright, so here what we're going to do is we're going to tell it the conditions. So the conditions is going to be an array, and let's see, let's clean this up a little bit. So inside the array we're going to say conditions, and we'll give that a string of user ID is going to be equal to a question mark so that we can bind. So let's go ahead and bind our user ID there. So we'll just say bind, and here for bind the first parameter will be user ID. So that's our conditions. The next thing that we're going to do is actually, in case we want to pass in additional params, we're going to say conditions equals array merge, and what we'll do is we'll say conditions and params, and it will merge those 2 arrays together. And then what we need to do is just return this find, and we'll pass in our conditions, and that is it. This is going to be our find all by user ID. So let's use that now and go back to our contacts controller, and above our rendering of our view, well, we need to load in our model. So let's first do that. So let's say this, and this is going to happen in the constructor, load model. Whoa. And we're going to load contacts. Alright, so now in our index action, what we can do is say contacts equal to this contacts model, and then the function that we're going to use here, is that static? No, it's not static. So the function we're going to use here is find all by user ID, and what we need to pass in for the user ID is the current user. That's a function that we created earlier, and so that will tell us the logged in user's ID. That's what that will do. And for our second, we are going to pass some more params in, and because I want to order these by their last name and first name, so we'll say order L name, comma F name. So it's going to order it first by their last name and then by their first name. So then what we're going to do is, let's see here. I want to look at something. You guys, give me just 1 second. I'm going to look at the core model. I just want to see something. So find. Okay. So what I want to do here is back in the context controller, let's just dump and die contacts. Okay. And let's go and refresh. So we have a problem here on line 7. I misspelled construct. Alright, so now we're just working through our issues here. Invalid argument supplied for each in our model on line 45. So let's take a look at that. You guys get to see some debugging. So, did I spell this right? Let's see, results, query as result. Okay. Yep. So what we need to do, we don't actually have any results, so we need to actually change this find parameter. So we need to add something here. We're going to say if not results query, then we are going to return just return an empty array. I think that'll work well for us. We could return false there, but I think we'll just return an empty array. Let's try that. So now if we go and refresh to see, okay, we do have one more error, and that will be context controller. So undefined variable contacts in the context controller. Go to context controller, and again, guys, I can't spell today. All right, so we dumped here, and we can see that we do not have any contacts, and that's because we don't have any in the database. So let's just manually add a few to the database here. So what I want to do is go to browse. Actually, I'll do insert, and first I need to know my user ID. So let me figure that out real quick. I'm gonna go to users, and I'm logged in as Parham Curtis. So my user ID is 1. So we'll go back to contacts. We'll do insert. You'll have to figure out what your user ID is, but we'll do a value of 1 there. And I'm going to just add some contacts here. I'll do Curtis, Parham, and we'll do Curtis at mailinator.com, 123 Main Street, apartment 111, city, we'll do Washington, Missouri. The zip code is going to be 63090. My home phone is 55. Well, we'll do 555. Let's see. I don't know. It doesn't matter. 555-444-1234. Cell phone 555-444-3212. I'm just quickly filling this out. 555-444-9876. Okay. We'll hit go. And now we do have a record. So if we go back to here and refresh, all right, now we can see we do have 1 in our array. So you can look here and see our information. Perfect. Okay. So what's going to happen? Let's see. Let's do one more. And let's see. Insert. User ID is 1. First name is going to be John. Last name Doe. We'll do John Doe at mailinator.com. Address is going to be 555 Elm Street. Just making stuff up here, guys. We won't do an address 2. So we'll do city is going to be New York. State will be New York. Zip, I don't know the zip there, so I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we'll do 555, 999, 1423. Alright, this is just getting some dummy data in the database, guys. That's all I'm doing here. Nothing confusing. So now if I refresh, I should have 2, and if my order worked correctly, the first one should actually be John Doe. So if we look, John Doe is first because of our order, and the next one's Curtis. So let's just get rid of this order, and I'll show you guys what happens if you do that. And refresh, now it's going to be in the order of my database. So now if you look, it's Curtis Parham and then John Doe. So that's why we added that order in right here. Alright, so this is just an array, so this is obviously not what we want. Now that we know that we are returning our 2 contacts that we have, let's go ahead and make a pretty table for this. So what we want to do is we're going to go back to our view now. So go here and open up the index.php, and underneath your h2 we're going to add a table, give it a class of table, table striped, table condensed, table bordered. These are all bootstrap classes, by the way. We'll close that. Alright, and then we'll do a t-head. Alright, and that we'll do some ths. Let's see, th times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do 6 here. And we're going to say name, email. We're not going to put all the information in the table. Cell phone, home, phone, work phone, and we're going to leave the last one open. So then what we want to do is we'll do our body, so t body. Okay, and then here what we're going to do is actually open up PHP tags, and we're going to say for each, and we'll say this contacts as contact. We'll do skip down a few lines here, and we're going to do an end for each. Alright, now here what we need to do is for each one of these we're going to do a row, and for that we need 6 TD elements. Alright, and we'll fill in these as we go here, so I'm not going to do that just yet. This will error out right now, and I'll show you why. At least I think it will. Well, first we need to go back to our context controller and get rid of that dump and die there. Refresh. Yep. So we have an error here, and that's because we haven't passed contacts into our view. So what we need to do is in our contacts controller, underneath contacts here, we're going to do this view contacts equals contacts. Okay, so refresh now. And now you can see we have our table and we have 2 rows. We're not printing anything to these 2 rows yet. So let's jump back over to our contacts model, and we're going to create one more method here, and this will be the last one in the model for this video. But we want to display their name as first name, last name, just to make it a little prettier there. So let me get to there, and we'll call this display name. Alright, and we're going to return this f name for first name, and we'll concatenate on a space, and we're going to concatenate on this L name. That's it. That's a very simple method, but now we can use that. So let's go back to our view here, and the first one is going to be the name. So all we need to do here is echo out. So we'll echo contact, and then we're going to say display name. And if we've done that correctly, we should get first last name now on these rows, and we do. We see John Doe and Curtis Parham. So then it's going to get pretty easy, guys. Let's go back. The next thing was email, so we will echo out contact email. Okay. Cell phone, so we'll do what do we call that in a database? Cell underscore phone. Okay, so we'll do contact cell underscore phone. I'm actually going to copy that once, twice, and we'll change this to home and this to work. And let's go back now and refresh, and boom, we're going to leave this empty on this last here because we're going to actually add some buttons later to edit and delete these contacts. But guys, we've just in that little bit of time, we've added a controller, a model, and a view. So that's the MVC, well, sorry, MVC, and we've added a controller with an index action. So we added the index here that loops through all of our contacts, and we've created two methods to get all contacts by user ID, and we created a display name. So now that's it, man. That is the contacts page for now. And in the next video, I think what we'll do is build out a form so that we don't have to manually go into the database and add these. We can simply go to contacts, add, and we'll create a form to add these things right in. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video.